So, what if I told you the fastest path to becoming a millionaire isn't some crazy tech startup, or a crypto coin that's going to the moon, or some trendy online brand? What if the real secret, the one that has a success rate as high as 90%, is actually hiding in plain sight, disguised as the most dull, the most unglamorous businesses you can possibly imagine? Today we're going to dive into a story that flips everything you think you know about building wealth right on its head. Forget the hype. It's time to get boring.
Alright, so to really get this, we've got to meet our main character, Harry. Now Harry is just a regular guy, stuck in a regular job, but with this burning desire to get out of the 9-to-5 grind. And like so many of us, he chased the exciting ideas, the stuff he saw online, the trends, the hype that promised fast money. But as we're about to find out, that path, well, it led him somewhere else entirely.
So picture this, Harry's 32, and this number, this is his reality. A little over $3,400 a month after taxes. His entire net worth was basically a paid-off car and maybe $1,000 in savings. He was stuck on this financial treadmill, right? The same amount of money comes in, the same amount goes right back out. And that feeling of being completely stuck, well, that became the fuel for his first few big mistakes.
So, what was his first shot at breaking free? Drop shipping, of course. I mean, it's the ultimate online dream, isn't it? You sell products you never even have to touch. So Harry dove in headfirst, chasing all these clever marketing angles, clever branding, clever niches, you name it. And the result? His store never ever made more than $97 in profit, and that was his first real taste of the huge gap between online hype and real-world cash.
Okay, so the online store was a bust. What's next? Well, he jumped on the next rocket ship, cryptocurrency. We've all seen the stories, right? People becoming millionaires overnight. So Harry put $1,500 of his hard-earned money into the craze, just hoping to catch a wave. Instead, that wave just completely crashed on him. His investment totally tanked, turning that hopeful $1,500 into just $412. Another exciting idea, another big step backward financially.
Harry's third strike was the clothing brand, and this one feels kind of personal, doesn't it? Creating something real, something cool you can hold. He invested in a bunch of inventory, dreaming of seeing his designs out in the world. But the reality? The reality was 3 giant boxes of unsold hoodies just sitting in his hallway. The pattern was becoming painfully clear. Big hype, complicated systems, and absolutely zero predictable money landing in his account.
And this is where everything changed for him. One night, just feeling totally defeated, Harry's scrolling on his phone, and he stumbles across a summary of the classic book, The Millionaire Next Door. And this one quote, it just hit him like a ton of bricks. It wasn't about being a flashy influencer or some tech genius. The book claimed that most self-made millionaires run dull, normal businesses. I mean, after chasing so many clever ideas, could the answer really be that simple and that boring?
So this idea, it just became an obsession for him. Harry completely stopped chasing trends. Instead, he spent the next year just digging, looking for the patterns behind these so-called dull, normal businesses. He was on a hunt for a millionaire's secret.
And he pretty quickly confirmed it. Look at this. Nearly half of all millionaires are business owners. But here's the secret. It wasn't just about owning any business, it was about owning the right kind of business. The kind that never ever makes headlines. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you saw a magazine cover celebrating the CEO of a local pest control company, right?
And this right here was the core of his whole discovery. While all those trendy startups are burning through cash and failing, these boring businesses, things like laundromats and self-storage, they have success rates as high as 90%. See, they don't rely on being the next big thing, they just rely on being a constant, necessary thing. And that reliability, that's where the real wealth is built.
As Harry sifted through countless stories, sale listings, you name it, these 6 categories just kept popping up over and over again. They weren't glamorous, they weren't complicated, they just solve a simple, recurring problem for people in a specific local area. This list right here, this became Harry's treasure map. He stopped looking for a brand new idea and started looking for an old, proven one.
So, with all this research done, Harry finally decided to take the plunge. And he actually picked the business from his list that he was the most skeptical about, just to see if this whole theory would actually work in the real world.
Yeah, his first thought was exactly this. Who even uses laundromats anymore? I mean, it's a fair question, right? But the numbers told a totally different story. Cities are packed with renters, and hey, even homeowners need to wash big stuff like comforters. The key was, his opinion didn't matter one bit. The real-world demand was constant and predictable.
So, he found one.
an old, aging laundromat just 15 minutes from his apartment. The owner was tired, ready to retire. But just look at that sticker price, $198,000. This was not some small side hustle. For a guy whose entire net worth was a used car and a few $100 in savings, this was a massive, terrifying financial risk.
He had to get creative. He sold his car, used a line of credit for the down payment. He went all in. And after all that risk, all that stress, his first month's profit was just $1,317. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but to Harry, it was everything. It was proof. Proof that the model actually worked. It was real money he earned without having to trade more of his time for it.
And from that starting point, Harry didn't do anything revolutionary. He just made simple, boring upgrades. He put in credit card readers so people didn't have to scramble for quarters anymore. He raised the price per wash by just 23 cents, and he introduced a simple little monthly family wash pass for his regulars. Nothing explosive, you see, just small, logical changes. And by month 6, his net cash flow had already climbed to over $2,000.
Now, Harry didn't just sit back and collect his laundromat money. He used that first success to spot the next opportunity. And that's when he discovered the real power of what you might call boring synergy.
So while he was working in the laundromat one day, he noticed something really obvious. The people waiting for their laundry, they were a captive audience. They were just sitting there, bored. And what do bored people do? Well, they often buy snacks and drinks, and that's when it clicked. He realized his laundromat wasn't just a laundry business, it was a location with guaranteed built-in foot traffic. The next step became crystal clear.
So he bought a vending machine for his laundromat, and then he bought 3 more for other locations nearby. And pretty soon, his little vending route was clearing over $2,400 a month. And this chart right here, this shows the incredible result. For the very first time, his boring businesses were making more money than his 9-to-5 job. This was the tipping point. This was freedom.
Okay, so with 2 cash-flowing assets under his belt, Harry was ready for his next big move, self-storage. And this one was scarier. The amount of money involved was way larger, a huge step up from what he'd done before. But he saw this underlying pattern that made it a calculated risk, not just a blind leap.
And this right here, this is the secret sauce of the entire self-storage industry. It's built on a super simple, super powerful, and really predictable psychological pattern. See, once somebody puts their belongings into a storage unit, they are incredibly reluctant to go through the pain of clearing it all out. They'll just keep paying that rent, month after month, sometimes for years. And that makes for an unbelievably stable stream of revenue.
Now, Harry didn't go out and buy a huge facility outright. He was smart. He partnered up with a small local contractor, combining his operational know-how and his cash flow with the contractor's land and building expertise. Once their first small facility was built and stabilized, Harry's cut of the monthly profit was around $1,600. So you add that to his other 2 businesses, and his little boring empire was now bringing in more than $6,000 a month.
And it was at this point that Harry realized something huge. The specific business, whether it was laundry, vending, or storage, mattered way less than the principles that made them all work. He had accidentally stumbled upon a secret formula, a 3-filter blueprint for finding these boring little gold mines.
And here it is. This is the whole blueprint. The 3 simple questions he learned to ask were, number 1, does it generate recurring revenue? Meaning, do customers pay you every month without you having to chase them down? 2, is it a low-drama decision for the customer? Is the price small enough that it's an easy yes? And 3, can you eventually own the asset that actually produces the cash flow?
So when he ran his list through these filters, the pattern just became crystal clear. Laundromats, vending, self-storage, and car washes, they were perfect matches. They hit all 3 criteria: yes, yes, and yes. Others, like pest control, were pretty close. The lesson here was simple. The more of these boxes a business checks, the stronger and more reliable the opportunity is.
Look, Harry's story isn't just a good story. It's a clear, replicable blueprint. It shows that you don't need some revolutionary new idea. You just need a different way of looking at all the simple, boring businesses that are all around you every single day.
And this is the result. This is what 6 years of focused, disciplined, boring moves can actually do. At age 32, his net worth was maybe $5,000. By age 38, after stacking these boring businesses and just reinvesting the profits, his net worth crossed the $1 million mark. There was no single explosive year. There was no viral moment. It was just the slow, steady, incredibly powerful compounding of boring cash flows. So how can you actually apply this? Well, it's a pretty straightforward 4-step process. First, you research.
Spend real time looking at actual boring businesses for sale in your area. Next, you filter. Run every single opportunity through those 3 key questions. Then you stack. You start with one small cash flow and you use it to help you add another. And finally, and this is the most important part, you just repeat. The magic is in the disciplined repetition, not in chasing the next shiny trend.
Ultimately, this whole thing really just comes down to a single, powerful question that you can ask yourself tonight. Just look around your own town, your own city. What is a dull, normal, recurring problem that people need solved? The answer to that question just might be the very first step on your own path to financial independence. It might not be glamorous, but as Harry's story proves, man, it is incredibly effective.